start with some news that's just coming right now, where defense intelligence sources have informed that 5 Pakistan Army soldiers have been killed and 6 injured in Indian Army's retaliatory firing assaults in area Bimber and Buttal sectors there. In fact, Indian Deputy High Commissioner J.P. Singh has been summoned to the office over there on the LOC violation. That's the latest news that's coming in retaliatory fire. 5 Pakistani soldiers have been killed. Let's go across to my colleague Ashish Singh, joining us with latest information on this breaking news. Please go ahead, Ashish. What are we picking up?
Akshay, massive retaliation from the Indian Army side in the Poonch and Nowshera sectors. This is with respect to the Indian side across the LOC. As far the Pakistan side is concerned, the Indian Army has opened fire in Bimber and Buttal sector. These are the 2 sectors situated right across the LOC from Nowshera and Poonch side in Pakistan side. Now, what is the damage that the Indian Army has caused? The defense intelligence sources have just submitted its report to the Indian Army headquarters here in Delhi that they have managed to kill 5 Pakistani soldiers and have injured 6 Pakistani soldiers. This is with respect to the specific posts along the LOC in Bimber and Buttal sectors in POK. Now, this response was done after the Pakistan opened fire on Indian post in Poonch and Nowshera sector, and quickly after that the Indian Army opened fire, and this is a massive retaliation. Remember, not only the Indian Army chief but at least half a dozen Indian Army commanders, the top commanders, are currently in Srinagar, and it did not take much time for the post and the brigades that are deployed along the LOC to take permission and open massive retaliation from the Indian Army side. This number is certainly huge. 5 Pakistani soldiers being killed and 6 being injured is certainly a huge number.
Okay, big news that's coming in. Ashish, request you to stay with us, please. We also have General G.D. Bakshi joining us over the phone line. Good evening, sir. Your first thoughts on what we are tracking. Massive casualty on Pakistani side on latest retaliatory firing here from India. We're learning 5 Pakistani soldiers have been killed, 6 have been injured in that firing that was taking place in Poonch as well as Nowshera sector on the Indian side. General Bakshi.
Absolutely. You see, we have the pending business of 2 of our soldiers having been beheaded by the Pakistan Army. No self-respecting army can tolerate such an affront, and India was duty-bound, the Indian Army was duty-bound to retaliate and impose costs and consequences on the Pakistani Army that teaches them the basic manners on how to give respect to the mortal remains of our fallen soldiers. They cannot go around acting like ghouls, vampires and jackals and impose such barbarous treatment on the dead bodies of our fallen braves. It is no self-respecting country will accept that, and Pakistan has already paid the price of about 5 killed and 6 wounded, apart from the others they had suffered earlier in the 9th May fire assault.
Right.
And every time they misbehave, they will get it.
Absolutely. General Bakshi, just hold your thoughts. Let's get in more voices on this. I'll come back to you, sir. We also have Major General R.K. Malhotra joining us over the phone line. Sir, your thoughts on the news that's breaking this minute. We're picking up from our sources that 5 Pakistani soldiers have been killed in retaliatory firing from the Indian side. 6 Pakistani soldiers have been injured. This coming in from the Poonch and the Nowshera sector on the Indian side of the border. Your first thoughts?
You see, it is basically we are responding, and we are now responding with an element of proactiveness. We wish to tell them that they've crossed the threshold of our tolerance, and this is something that we will not tolerate. Because especially Nowshera is an area which they've escalated very recently, because they were earlier doing whatever kind of nefarious activities up to Poonch. Now, what they've done is they come up to the Nowshera, which is therefore they're closing on towards the international border in Jammu. And we therefore have to nip this design in the bud.
Okay.
And what has actually happened is it's not just an element of response of killing guys who are trying to... What is happening is proactively, we are using our specialized skill to neuter them before they even enter the valley. To tell them that, sorry, this is a no-go zone and you better be careful. And obviously, the army can't tolerate what is happening at the moment today. And Pakistan, till a month back, was thinking that in the summer they will be able to do what they wish to.
Right.
So they have to be told that while we are prepared for a bloody summer, but
Right.
that blood will
Indeed,
be yours.
Major General Malhotra. I request you to stay with me, sir. Sorry for the interruption, but I also want to bring in right now former Army Chief Shankar Roy Chaudhary joining us over the phone line. Sir, good evening. Your thoughts on how the Indian Army is today retaliated in news that's just come in that 5 Pakistani soldiers have been killed, 6 of them injured on that heavy retaliation that India gave to the Pakistani side in the Poonch and Nowshera sector, sir.
We have to punish the Pakistanis if they try and infiltrate. And I'm glad we have inflicted these casualties. I think we should continue in the same way.
General Shankar Roy Chaudhary, there's always been a point of debate that India retaliates to the kind of firing we receive from the Pakistani side. There are some who continue to advocate that it's not about just retaliation, but we should up the ante and it's time to teach Pakistan a lesson. How would you assess that particular point of school?
I would go along with that. Depends on national policy, certainly. I don't see why we should not also initiate some incidents, as you call them. We must be prepared to either react as a result of those incidents or intensify and also consider other means which I have been saying for some time.
Building on the offensive, you think perhaps is the right way to teach Pakistan a befitting response, because we are looking at such instances on the rise, sir, where we are looking at indiscriminately firing from the Pakistani side, which has only escalated with the summer also coming in as pretty much expected.
We should carry out fire assaults. That's a good policy. And these fire assaults will be better than the hard things because you have got eyes on the ground in the form of drones, in the form of space technology, so you can pick your targets, pick your targets, and carry out fire assaults when you think in the way.
Right. Appreciate you joining us. The former Army Chief, Shankar Roy Chaudhary, speaking with us here on NewsX. Let me also quickly go across to Ashish once again. Well, we do have Major General G.D. Bakshi as well as Major General R.K. Malhotra with us on the phone line. Ashish, further information that we have on what we are tracking at the moment in 5 Pakistani soldiers being killed, 6 of them being injured. This is, of course, heavy casualty inflicted from the Indian Army towards Pakistan.
This certainly is one of the biggest retaliation from the Indian Army side in response to just a ceasefire violation. Remember, whenever the action from the Pakistan side is of high magnitude, the reaction is certainly bound to be much higher than the action. But at this time, this is a slight deviation I've observed from the Indian Army side as far as the reactions are concerned. What Pakistan did today morning is they violated the ceasefire, and quickly after that the Indian forces retaliated directly at the high level. Generally the magnitude that is adopted is one from the infantry level firing, and then the mortar from 80 mm to then 120 mm.
Yes,
but going by the death casualty that has been reported from the defense intelligence agencies to the Indian Army headquarters, 5 Pakistani army soldiers killed and 6 injured. It suggests that at least 3 to 4 posts of Pakistani army have come under heavy fire from Indian Army side. But also I would like to draw our viewers' attention towards the fact that we have just received a press release from the Pakistan government side, from the office of spokesperson of Ministry of External Affairs. What they mentioned is that the DG SARC, Dr. Mohammad Fazil, has summoned the Indian Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. J.P. Singh, and condemned the unprovoked ceasefire violation by the Indian occupation forces on 1st June at 7:50 in the morning. That's today morning. But what is different here is Pakistan is not accepting as far as the Pakistani soldiers being killed and being injured.
Okay, Ashish, stay with us. Just stay with us because I want to get a reaction there from former DGMO also joining us over the phone line, Mr. Vinod Bhatia. Sir, your thoughts. You just heard the information my colleague Ashish was giving out of the kind of response that we have given to Pakistan on that indiscriminate fire this morning. And as expected, they have summoned Mr. J.P. Singh over there as well. Your understanding of the situation as we speak?
Pakistan has to realize an Indian army is going to retaliate. It is going to carry out punitive operations and going to carry out very effectively punitive operations. If you find that when the video was released on the Nowshera firing, where the post was actually punished,
yes,
the army spokesman made a very categorical statement saying as per the counter-terrorism strategy. So this is as part of the strategy. The punishment will be given to the Pakistani post from where the firing takes place, the ceasefire violation takes place, and where they're abetting infiltration of terrorists into our territory, into our side of the line of control. So Pakistan will have to pay for it. The Pakistani army posts which are there will have to pay for it by punitive operations if you carry out with the Indian army. It's very categorical, very clear, and the message to the Pakistani army is clear that you will, if you assist infiltrators into our side, that is to infiltrate our side, you will get punished for it. And that is exactly what has happened.
Right.
And they have to bear the cost, and the cost will be raised for them.
Right.
And so that they will deter them from, creating more trouble in Kashmir, which they've been doing for the last many years.
That's right.
Especially so during this, the summers are just starting, and you find that they have, calibrated the terrorism in Kashmir, up the ante, and so they have to pay for it now.
Okay.
So that is what it is.
Lieutenant General Bhatia, in your view, we also understand to keep Pakistan under check and to continue with the pressure, there are several ways. There is a diplomatic way, there is of course the economic way, but the military way is this. Do you think that India also needs to keep up the pressure instead of just indulging in retaliatory firing? There is more that we can do to keep Pakistan under check. How do you think that can work?
Absolutely. It has to, it is a synergized action. All elements of national power at the diplomatic level, at the economic level, at the political level also, and the information level have to be synergized into a proper, concerted response to Pakistan's upping the ante and Pakistan's proxy war. And military is only one part of it. But the military part is very important because it is the Pakistani army which drives the India policy. It is the Pakistani army which has a stated policy of proxy war with India. It is the Pakistani army which says that we'll beat India with 1,000 cuts. So the Pakistani army also needs to feel the pinch and needs to bear the cost of it. The low cost, high effect war being waged by Pakistan, India has to take actions to make sure it becomes a high cost, low effect war. It is not that by one punitive operations or by one surgical strike that Pakistan is going to change the state policy. It is not going to happen. But a sustained punishment, sustained punitive operations, which is not part of the counter-terrorism strategy, is going to raise the cost of Pakistan and make sure that Pakistan now has a high cost and low effect war which it bases on India.
Right. Lieutenant General Bhatia, thank you very much. Appreciate you speaking with us. Major General G.D. Bakshi, do you agree with the discourse that has just said? Okay, in fact, I will just come back to you, sir. Just stay with me. There is some more breaking news that's coming in. First, on NewsX. India's Deputy High Commission's response exposes Pakistan's web of lies. Let's go across to Ashish, joining us with further information on this breaking news that's coming in. Please go ahead.
Well, actually, we have learned from our top sources in the Ministry of External Affairs that the Indian Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. J.P. Singh, has very strongly condemned when he was summoned by the Pakistan DG of SARC, Mr. Mohammad Faisal, that the movement of terrorists from Pakistan's side along the LOC, the infiltration and the ceasefire violations, all three have increased in recent past, and that's the reason why the Indian forces have retaliated in response to the ceasefire violation that was initiated by the Pakistan Army today morning in Nowshera sector. Certainly a very strong response coming from the Indian Deputy High Commissioner, Mr. J.P. Singh. I believe Pakistan High Commissioner DG SARC was not expecting this kind of strong rebuttal from the Indian government side. But it seems that once the ceasefire violation was initiated by the Pakistan Army, the Indian government was extremely ready with the strong retaliation. And I'm told that the Indian government, through its High Commissioner in Islamabad, has strongly conveyed its position to the Pakistan government, making it very clear that the retaliation from the Indian Army side is very much justified, and it's only in response to the ceasefire violation that was done by the Pakistan Army today early morning.
Ashish, do you see this as a change in strategy where the Indian side is concerned? A, looking at the kind of heavy casualty being inflicted on Pakistan. B, the kind of response that the Indian Deputy High Commission has given there in Pakistan. Do you see this as a change of how India is now planning to deal with Pakistan?
a massive shift as far as India's diplomatic and the defense response is concerned. Remember, both the Ministry of External Affairs of the Indian government and the Ministry of Defense, specifically Indian Army, are working in tandem with each other. Once the Indian Army received heavy fire in terms of ceasefire violation from the Pakistan Army, they were ready with the retaliation. Not only that, the diplomats, our Deputy High Commissioner, the entire embassy in Islamabad, the Indian government's embassy, was ready with its response. So certainly both working in tandem with each other, massive retaliation from Army side, and a strong position conveyed from the Deputy High Commissioner side.
Absolutely. Ashish, request you to stay with us. Major General G.D. Bakshi, you've been holding on for a while. Your thoughts on the latest information that's also come in, sir. Please go ahead.
Look, the fact of the matter is that we will have to inflict sustained punishment on the Pakistan Army. It is the primary cause of all the problems in Jammu and Kashmir. So this stupid piece of fiction that it is non-state actors and the Pakistani state has nothing to do with it is hogwash. The fact is the Pakistan Army, ISI are deeply, deeply involved up to their necks, and it is about time that they are made to pay a price. And like General Bhatia said, it will not happen by one odd surgical strike in a blue moon or one odd fire assault in a couple of months. You will have to sustain it like you did in the year 2003 for 6 to 7, 8 months, so that Pakistan is made to bleed. And once it bleeds sufficiently, only will it be deterred. Just, chonchale bazi and figuring here and there will not do. The time has come to get even to raise costs and consequences for Pakistan. If Pakistan thinks that it can escalate at will in Jammu and Kashmir and not face any consequences, well, it should be in for a damn surprise.
So, Major General G.D. Bakshi, what's your view? What's your view? Why is it that looking at the current scenario in the last 3 years specifically, what is it that's keeping the Indian establishment a little wary? I mean, we do know that very recently how India and Pakistan were fighting it out in the International Court of Justice as well. It was a different case altogether, but yet they were in the ICJ, something that India also did not want. Do you believe that is something at the back of the head of the Indian establishment?
No, I mean, you mean to say that the ICJ is a substitute for military action? Absolutely no. The ICJ you have gone to for the case of Kulbhushan Jadhav. For you have been denied consular access. That is a different cup of tea. How is that punishment for Pakistan? I mean, you have to save your citizens. And you are doing your damnedest to save your citizen who is unjustly been framed and punished in Pakistan. So that is your duty. That is a separate kettle of fish. Now the point is, for all the mayhem that Pakistan is creating in the valley, we've all got details of the funding they have put in, the money they have put in via the Hurriyat, via other channels to get stones pelted, to get arson done, to create chaos, to derail tourist seasons and to try and create a climate of chaos in Jammu and Kashmir. They need to be paid back.
But General Bakshi, do you believe what we were just discussing, the response that's gone in from the Indian Deputy High Commissioner over there, Mr. JP Singh, along with the fact that how we have retaliated today in the Poonch and Naushera sector, do you see this as a change in strategy or a shift in policy towards Pakistan, how we need to deal with it a little more toughly? Do you believe it's happening already?
It has to. It is already overdue by months. You know, the pity is we start sending mixed signals. We firstly get tough. We got tough last October, September, October. We got tough with the surgical strike, with the fire assault. Then we went back to, sending parliamentary delegations, refusing to pass a bill condemning Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism, acting as the greatest friends and beneficiaries of Pakistan, our parliamentarians. Then you start sending Mr. Jindal with tokras of mangoes. So I think we are sending very confused messages, because if we are relying upon Nawaz Sharif, he is almost a dead duck. It is the Pakistan Army which is calling the shots, and if you don't take on the Pakistan Army, well, then you are creating a mess for yourself in Jammu and Kashmir. You have to deter the Pakistan Army. You have to take stringent measures, sustained measures to inflict costs and consequences. Please mark my words. Costs and consequences on the Pakistan army, on the deep state. Let's stop giving this fiction, this pussyfooting, this pusillanimity of, oh, the non-state actors are different and
Right,
the
right.
Pakistan is so benevolent, it wants to help. Unfortunately, they are themselves in trouble. Nonsense.
Okay, so cost and consequence. You believe that is the key. Cost and consequence on the Pakistani army, the military over there is the way forward for them to actually bleed and stop this menace they continue to create. Appreciate you joining us on the phone line, Major General G.D. Bakshi. Thank you very much for speaking with us. But that's the big story. That's the big story we are tracking right now for you on your screens. We're looking at how 5 Pak soldiers have been killed, 6 of them injured in this massive retaliatory firing. The Indian army has just given in to the Pakistani side earlier today. And many reactions that are coming in on this. Ashish, thanks very much too for joining us with those details on that breaking story.